Hi, welcome. Carers to you. This is 11 a.m. on Tuesday, the 30th of June, 2026. What do I have in my mind to talk about today? Nothing, absolutely nothing. In fact, I was just clicking on my calendar and deleting items and not thinking about anything. What else have I been doing? I've been writing about a few things. I've had self in mind, not self as in me personally, but the self, the ego, our pride, our desires, what we consider needs, and the like. Often, our desires we call needs. What do we really need in life? We need air every minute. We're not going to go too many minutes without air. We need water. Well, we need shelter even before we need water, because if we're caught in a flood, for example, the flood could kill us. If we're out in an electric storm, we could get hit by lightning. Highly unlikely, but it could happen. So, first thing we need is air. Second thing we need is shelter. The third thing we need is water, because without liquid, you're not going to live a week. You'll live 3, 4 days, maybe 5 if you're lucky. Food, we can go without food for months, but you can't go without food for a year. You will die. Clothing, well, as long as you're in that shelter and you're sheltered from the cold wind or the hot wind or the like, then you could probably remain in that shelter naked forever. But if you go out into the elements, you're going to need clothing. So, what else do we need? A relationship with God? I'm going to say that's a need. That's not a need for your physical life right now. That's a need for your spiritual life right now, but it's also a need for your eternal life. Is there a heaven and a hell? I'm going to talk from the skeptical perspective and say, well, if there is no heaven and hell, let's consider God and the belief in God if there is no heaven and hell. And I'll try and do this quickly because, again, what I was contemplating here was need. So I think I should get back to needs. So if there is no God, no heaven, no hell, is there a value in believing in God? Absolutely. I have love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control because I believe in God. And if God's not there, I have still gained these things. So I have still gained good, valuable things. I have gained a purpose in life because I believe in God. Before well, I was an atheist 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, I would just sit all day and watch TV, nothing else, every day. just watch TV all day because I had no purpose in life, no reason to do anything. I am just so busy now, it isn't funny. I've just got so much to do, it isn't funny because I now have purpose. And that purpose came about by gaining God in my life. Now, even if God isn't there, that purpose has still come to my life. Okay? So I am still gaining. Whether God is there or not, heaven and hell is there or not, it doesn't matter. I'm gaining. I'm gaining purpose. I'm gaining all those wonderful fruits of the Spirit, the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. I'm not incredibly self-controlled yet, but I become more self-controlled daily. I am gaining new understanding daily. I am seeing things that were incomprehensible to me a couple of years ago that I now understand in ways that many people don't understand as well. They may not be things that those people consider important, but those people are out there living for themselves for the moment and the moment only. And if there is a heaven, hell, and a God, they've blown everything. Yet, if there is no heaven, hell, and God, I still gain, and I still gain, I believe, beyond chasing the dollar, chasing the personal temporal fulfillment, because I'm still gaining a form of fulfillment, but it's not temporal. It's not entertaining myself for a day and the next day I'm still lost and needing something. I have far much more. So, back to whatever I decided the subject was. Where are you at anyway? Do you have those good things? And let me also say, people that don't have God, sure, they can go out and get drunk and have a hangover the next day. There's a cost. Sure, they can go out and take drugs and they come down from the drugs and they need to spend an awful lot more money taking more and more and more. And if they get busted by the cops, prison. And their life is totally changed in prison because they become something totally different. And it's not something that they would look forward to. Downfall, yet again. I could get drunk and go drive my car and write the car off. Oh, a moment of pleasure causes 6 months of work to go out and buy another car. I could fill my life with other fun things like entertaining sport type things like, I don't know, maybe I want to go windsurfing or whatever, parachute jumping. I jump from a plane with a parachute on my back and it doesn't open. Ooh, sure, it's a massive thrill to fly through the air, but it's an incredible penalty if a little thing doesn't work correctly. The thrills of life often have penalties which outweigh them. Yet those benefits and bonuses I have can't be taken away from me. So, love. Is that what I was talking about? I don't recall. But to gain all these things anyway, love is a major aspect. You've got to disown yourself, which means remove the self-love from your heart. And not as in, oh, I'm a measly, worthless person below a worm. No, I'm not saying consider yourself worthless. you're still worthwhile. Yet you honor others above yourself. And do you think them more worthwhile than yourself? No, not necessarily, but you still honor them above yourself. You still give them the pride of place. You still give them the honor to speak before yourself or whatever else it may be. You walk with a great deal of respect, and those that walk with a great deal of respect often gain respect. You don't do it to gain respect. You do it because you have a wonderful relationship with God. Even if that relationship is imagined, which it isn't, still, something's going on that informs you of what's happening out there, that tells you to do a certain thing or go in a certain direction. And it works out that that happens to have been the smartest direction. Even if it wasn't a rational decision, even if it was a decision that look, that's to do that is a stupid thing. But something in here, if I'm following my heart, and not my heart, my human heart, as in my own desire, ego, and the like, pride, etc., but having connection with God, God talks to you through your heart to go out and do this stupid thing. And rationally, it's like, no, it's stupid, but I will submit and do it anyway. And then you find out afterwards that everything else failed. It's like um, Forrest Gump. When Forrest Gump goes out, if you've seen the movie, but if you haven't, Forrest Gump buys a prawn trawler and is useless, has no knowledge of uh, trawling prawns or the like. And because of his useless ability, he's out trying to get prawns late at night because everyone else has filled up their boats and gone to harbour, and a hurricane or a storm or a typhoon, something comes and hits that port, and all the trawlers are sunk. But he was out in sea, and because he was out at sea, being the failure, he then had the only trawler left, and anywhere he went, because there were no other trawlers, he just loaded in prawns all the time. Being in fault, being useless, he was blessed by being saved from the pending problem. God didn't cause the problem, but God, knowing the problem was coming as just a part of nature, and to live in this wonderful world, we need the movement of air, etc. Or weather won't work, it weather what doesn't work, we don't have rain, etc. If we don't have rain, we don't have crops, we don't have food. So we need it all. And that weather does cause storms, and those storms can damage. But God, knowing this, can save people. Forrest, in his innocence, was saved by God. Let's say it that way. So God might say, go out in your prawn trawler late at night when everybody else is finished because, and it's something that's just irrational. It's like, oh, why would you do that? I mean, um, but I haven't been successful. And yet, bang, it happens that that irrational thing that God tells you to do becomes the salvation for you. God works that way. So, in knowing these things, in experiencing these things, I am reconfirmed by God that God is there. There are so many things that can bring doubt to me. And at times, I do doubt. Is doubt a sin? Sort of. God expects us to get over our doubts. God doesn't say he will remove all doubt. God says to build faith beyond that doubt. I can't quote verses for that, but I'm confident that that's the gist of many verses. I need to learn God so much more. I have been in a situation lately where I have been getting difficult situations. But those difficult situations, I am confident, are there for me to grow, for me to have faith in God and to deal with my pride issues, my self-reliance issues, and the like. After all, they came about when I started praying, God, forgive me and teach me to forgive. Well, how does he teach you to forgive? He brings a lot of situations that you're going to have to forgive. And situations where you're going to have to forgive people are not easy situations. When that storm was happening on Forrest Gump, I think, I don't recall exactly, was going through a really difficult situation, massive waves and winds and the like. But his boat stayed up, and all the other boats in the harbour were destroyed. It was a troublesome situation, but blessed by going through it. God doesn't cause problems. God will keep you from many of them. Yet, without God, there are an awful lot more problems in this world. After all, somebody gives you a problem, and what are you likely to do? Be loving and peaceful towards them? No. God teaches you love, peace, humility. So you, out of your pride, are going to jump down their throat. And they, out of their pride, are going to jump back down your throat. Boom, boom, boom. All because neither of you are walking in God. But if either of you walked in God, one of you at least isn't going to fight. And therefore the other will have nothing to fight with. And if you're both in God, there's nothing to fight about anyway. Because if you're both in God, neither of you are going to do something that's going to require resolution. The question is, even amongst people that call themselves Christian, how many are really walking in God? How many are really submitting to God? Very few. Very, very, very few. The Facebook group that I run has been growing quite a bit. It's gone from 200 people in December, and this is halfway through the year, and there's 1,200 people now. So it's multiplied 5 times over. On top, 6 times over, I guess, if you include the original 200. Um, and in that growth, I've noticed every time there's an extra 100 people, there is one extra person that is active in the group, and 99 people that never post, never really comment, never do anything. When there was only 100 people in the group, I was pretty much the only active person. When there was 200 people, there were a couple of active people. When there was 300 people, there was myself, Monique, and Dave. Pretty much no one else. Then when there was 400 people, there was another person that became relatively active, and so on. 1,200 people now. Pretty much, as I think, as I speak, there's probably 1,300 people now, and there's 12 or 13 people that are active. 1%. That's out of people that are in a Christian group. Out of this world. Christianity is not half of the world. Christianity might be 10% of the world. Out of Christianity, this 1,300 people, I'll call it, because I know it's either 1,290 something or 1,300 now. That is just such a minimal fraction. Yet, out of people that call themselves Christian, how many go to church regularly and how many actually join Christian Facebook groups, etc.? 10%? Okay, I'll be generous and say 10%. Out of those 10% that join groups like this, how many are actually active? Now, I'm saying 1%. Yet, let's be generous and call that 10%. Now, out of that active 10% that will bother to post every now and again or make a comment on a question or the like, and they might not post videos like this, they might not make large, in-depth steps in godly ways. It might just be a few words a couple of times a day. 10%? Okay, sure. Now, out of that 10%, how many bother to step out and do something in valid ministry, like these videos, or offer decent teaching beyond a few words, rather than just comments, etc.? 10%? Okay, if it's 10%, then how many of that 10% are truly in correct relationship with God? I've had people that are moderators of very large groups of Christians. This one's minuscule in comparison. They're numbering in the hundreds of thousands. And I asked a group, um, why do books on grace fall short? And I think that was the question. If not, I might, that'll be close within a word of. And the moderator sent a message back saying, no, that's denied. What proof do you have? And I started a communication series with them, back and forward talking about it. And I discovered that their opinion is that grace is unmerited favor. Full stop, the end. That they don't comprehend. And they know what Dr. Strong said in Strong's Concordance, and they know what Joseph Henry Thayer said. I'm pretty sure it's Joseph Henry rather than Henry Joseph. Thayer said in Thayer's lexicon. They quoted them. Yet they then said, so this is unmerited favour. What? Neither of those learned scholars, respected men, who know Greek incredibly well, biblical Greek, better than the Textus Receptus, which was the thing that was used to write the King James Bible, etc., which was not the accurate Greek of Christ's time, the original documents. They went back to more original documents, more accurate. And they went to explain the actual Greek words. Yet this person said, no, well, my opinion overrules that. He didn't use those words, but his whole back and forward statements, etc. I did most of the typing, and he'd just respond in a couple of sentences that were saying, you're wrong, in a sense. Well, I'm just quoting Strong and Thayer, etc. I'm just giving sources of many books that call grace unmerited favour. And he's saying I'm wrong because his belief is that it is unmerited favour. So therefore, I do not have the right to ask a question, a simple question. Why do so many books on grace fall short? I cannot ask that question of his forum, which is a forum that asks questions. Wow. Does he know God? I cannot assess that. Yet, to me, what's jumping out is, no, that's a very human reaction, a very self reaction. Am I talking about him? No, I'm talking about everyone. So if this is an example of people in ministry, and there are many, many, many I've discovered since I've been asking God to teach me how to forgive. All these people that I need to forgive have been popping out of the woodwork, and the great majority are in ministry. So here's your next 10%. If all those in ministry that do things like this, only 10% of them have a real relationship with God, what is that? 0.0001% of the earth? 1 in 10,000 people? know God well enough to have that strong relationship with God, which, if you have that relationship with God, you will want to do things like this to express God to everyone you can, and not just in a sentence or two for the day, but in solid messages to express people's need to build that relationship, and evangelistically as well. Primarily, everyone's called to go out and express God to the lost. Yet how many of us do it with God's heart? One in 10,000 people break the 10, 10, 10, 10 down, and yet I could have gone to 1% instead, remember? Okay, I'll wrap up there, of course. Bless you. Govern well. Courage to you.